All right, let's talk about something we all have to do, but nobody likes: delivering bad news. It's that one conversation that can totally tank a relationship in just a few minutes. But what if I told you there's a way to handle it that doesn't just avoid disaster, but actually builds deeper, more lasting trust? Let's break down exactly how to do that.
I mean, you know that feeling, right? That pit in your stomach when you realize you have to tell a client, a teammate, or your whole department something they really, really don't want to hear. Yeah, we've all been there.
Now look, the stakes are incredibly high. These moments can literally define your reputation. If you get it wrong, you can shatter trust. But, and this is the key, if you get it right, you can build trust that's even stronger than it was before.
So how do we get it right? Well, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why the stakes are so high. Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of choosing your channel and timing. After that, I'm going to give you a step-by-step blueprint for your message, we'll see it in action, and we'll finish up with a simple FAIR test you can use every single time.
Okay, first up, the high stakes. It's so easy to think of this as just damage control, But it's so much more than that. It's actually a huge opportunity. This one idea kind of flips the whole script, doesn't it? We assume that delivering bad news is always going to cost us trust. But the research shows the opposite can be true. When you are honest and open, even when the information is tough, people are actually more likely to trust you. It's a total shift in how you think about these conversations.
All right, let's get practical. Before you even start thinking about what words you're going to use, you have two absolutely critical decisions to make: when you're going to say it and how you're going to say it.
So here's the deal. You have to be fast, but you also have to be smart. Don't wait around. Leaving people in the dark is often way worse than the bad news itself, because that silence, the rumor mill will fill it for you, and you will completely lose control of the story. So act fast and pick your channel wisely.
And that brings us to the big trade-off. Do you do it in person or do you write an email? Look, in person is great because you can show genuine concern, read their body language, and answer questions right away. But it can get emotional, and it takes time. An email gives you total control to craft the perfect message, and you've got a record of it. The downside, you lose that human touch. The right call really just depends on how serious the news is. And now for the heart of it all, the blueprint. This is not about trying to sugarcoat things. No way. This is about structuring your message with so much respect and clarity that the other person can actually hear what you're saying, even if it's tough. Okay, so here it is, the 6-step process. And trust me, the order here is everything. You start by easing in. Then you explain why something is happening before you deliver the what. After the news, you talk about the impacts. Then you immediately shift to what's next, and you always end by showing goodwill. It's a structure that prepares the person for the blow.
So what is a buffer, exactly? Well, think of it like a conversational shock absorber. It's a neutral, or maybe even positive, opening that doesn't mislead anyone, but it gets you both on the same page before you dive into the tough stuff.
And here are some perfect examples. You could start with a simple thank you. You could show some sympathy. You could find some common ground, or even offer a sincere compliment. See how none of these give false hope? But they all start the conversation from a place of respect. That's the key.
All right, theory's great, but let's see how this blueprint actually works in the real world. We're going to look at a before and after example. This one's about turning down an employee's idea.
Okay, so first let's look at the bad version. Oof, this one is just full of mistakes. You see phrases like not really appropriate or fair, which just sounds accusatory. And then you have that classic yes, but statement. I'm glad you're sympathetic, but it just feels so dismissive.
So to break it all down, the tone is all wrong, the language is dismissive, that appreciation feels totally fake, and maybe worst of all, it just shuts the conversation down. The manager basically says, we're sticking to the plan, and that's it. End of story. This is exactly how you damage a relationship.
Now, let's look at the rewrite. What a difference, right? It's like night and day. It starts with a buffer of appreciation. It gives a clear reason to avoid layoffs. It shows concern. And then, this is so important, it focuses on the future by inviting more discussion. It ends with goodwill. See, this isn't just a rejection anymore. It's the start of a real conversation. So you've picked your channel, you've drafted your message using that blueprint, and you're feeling pretty good. Okay, before you hit send or walk into that room, there is one last super important check: the FAIR test.
This is just a simple, powerful little acronym to make sure your message is as effective and as ethical as it can possibly be. So let's break down what FAIR actually stands for.
First up, F is for facts. Is your reasoning actually solid? Is it objective? Have you checked your biases at the door and gathered all the info you need? Your credibility here is built on a foundation of facts.
Next, A is for access, and this is all about transparency. Are you being open about your motives, about how you made the decision, or are you hiding something? Because trust me, people can always tell when there's a hidden agenda. Then I is for impacts. This is your empathy check. Have you really stopped to think about the consequences for the person getting the news and for the rest of the team? And have you tried to lessen any of those negative effects?
And finally, R is for respect. And look, this is so much more than just being polite. Does your tone, your language, and your delivery truly show that you value the other person as a human being, even when the news is tough?
So we'll leave you with this final thought. We started out talking about how stressful these conversations are. But what if they aren't something to dread at all? What if, when you handle them with speed, with structure, and with a real commitment to being fair, they become your single greatest opportunity to show your character, to strengthen your relationships, and to build trust that truly lasts?